it is to make super delicious bread pudding Gina Young style. This recipe is magnificent. It's so easy to make. If you make it Gina Young style, you'll love me for this recipe. Here's what you're gonna need. Really easy ingredients. You're gonna need some bread. When you make bread pudding, honestly, you can use any kind of bread you want to use. You could use donuts, you could use croissants. Okay, today I'm going to be using some Hawaiian bread that I have here. It does have a bit of a sweet taste. And I have a fresh loaf of Italian bread. Okay, you're going to need some eggs. You're going to need heavy whipping cream and some spices. You'll need salt, nutmeg. If you like nutmeg, I know there's not a lot of people that likes nutmeg, so if you're that person, just leave it out. We're going to use some cinnamon and raisins. We're going to use 4 tablespoons of butter, vanilla extract, and milk. Use what kind of milk you have. Just don't use buttermilk, right? And you're going to need some white sugar. Make sure your hands are impeccably clean. Let's make bread pudding Gina Young style. I hope y'all are having a great day today, and if you're not, hopefully I can brighten up your day with this recipe. I would love to hear from you in the comment section below. Who loves bread pudding? If you don't love it, maybe you haven't had it Gina Young style. I always like to tell people, don't knock it until you try it the right way. So now, this bread pudding is not mushy. A lot of people think that bread pudding is mushy, and for some reason, if it's soggy wet, it was done wrong. Okay, but I'm going to show you how to make it so that it's not soggy wet. Okay, we have some beautiful bread here. If your bread is day old or stale, that's absolutely amazing. It's going to make for a beautiful texture bread pudding. But if it's not, we can make it stale. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Super interesting. My bread is fresh. Okay, it ain't stale. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut it down. You could even tear it, but I want to let you know, if you tear yours into pieces, it's not going to look as pretty as someone's would if they were to cut it like I'm going to do. Cut it into squares and make it look pretty, right? So let's do that. What we're going to do to make our bread stale is once we get it nice and cut, we put it into the oven to harden it up, almost making it like croutons or toast. That is making it stale, and that will make sure that your bread pudding has a beautiful texture and consistency, okay? And not soggy. So watch this. Easy, easy. This recipe comes together super simple. I'm so excited to be able to make this for my family because they absolutely love it, and I do too. All right, so here we go. Lovely. Try your best to make them all the same sizes, but for some reason, if you can't, it's okay. Don't stress out about it, okay? I'm going to break this down just a little bit more. Lovely. And then we'll put this onto a baking dish. And it's going to go into the oven on 350 degrees, just like so, quick and simple. Now, I know earlier when I showed you all the ingredients, I talked about how you could use any kind of bread. You really can. You can use wheat bread, you could use donuts, croissants, like whatever floats your fanny, you can use, okay? I have made bread pudding using Krispy Kreme donuts, and it was absolutely amazing. So have fun with choosing the bread that you would like to use. I'm going to continue to cut my bread down, and then we'll get it into the oven so it can dry out. Leaving the crust onto your bread will make your bread pudding super beautiful, okay? And gives great flavor. So leave the crust on. Don't you dare cut it off. So I'm slicing the Hawaiian bread right now. My mouth is salivate, like I can't wait. I cannot wait. I love bread pudding when it cools down, and then I pour this delicious vanilla sauce on top of it. I'm going to show you in today's video how to make this delicious creme anglaise. It's a vanilla sauce that tastes so good and is super simple to make. Time to go ahead and put our bread into the oven so it can get nice and toasted. And if there's some pieces at the bottom that didn't get fully dried out and toasted, I promise you it's okay. Don't freak out about it. Now we're going to make our sauce. that our bread will get soaking into. Our bread is going to soak up this amazing sauce that tastes so good. It's somewhat of a custard and it's super simple to make. So now, with that 4 tablespoons of butter that you'll be using, you're going to want to go ahead and put it in the microwave for a couple of minutes just so it can get melted. But be sure not to put it into the sauce right away until the butter cools down, because you wouldn't want to create scrambled eggs, because eggs is going to go in here. So the first thing you're going to need is 2 cups of milk, and I'm using a vitamin D whole milk. And then you're going to need 2 cups of heavy whipping cream. Okay, I don't think this is quite 2 cups here, but I do have another one available if I'm going to need it. Okay, so let's get that in. Oh, almost. Look at that. Okay, so let's go ahead. We'll add a little more to make it evenly 2 cups. Let's see. And there we have 2 cups of your heavy cream. We're going to season this to perfection, give it some good flavor, right? If you like nutmeg, throw you some in there. You could use allspice by all means if you want to. I'm not going to do a lot of nutmeg, okay? Cinnamon. I'm going nuts on the cinnamon, okay? On purpose. All right, we're going to put some vanilla extract, and y'all know me. I don't never measure my vanilla extract. Just get you some in there if I can get it open. Oh yeah, this is clear, but you know you can use the dark color. A little bit of salt in your desserts makes a big difference. It'll brighten up the whole flavor of your dessert. Okay, so this is about 2 pinches of salt. It's not to make it salty, it's to give it that umami flavor. Make them say umami. About that, I had a phone call. They always call when they know the food is a-cooking. Absolutely, it never fails. All right, a little bit of salt, as we spoke of. 4 large eggs. Beautiful, get that right in, just like so. And then we're gonna put 1.5 cups of white granulated sugar. There's where our sweetness is gonna come in at. Beautiful, and we're gonna whisk these ingredients together. How simple is that? Okay, really whisk those eggs, making sure that you get them well combined. My butter is cooled down. Okay, so I can go ahead and add that. 4 tablespoons. Oh, it smells so good. Once our custard is nice and done and your bread is beautifully crispy, let's go ahead and put it into a 9x12, 9x13 baking dish. Okay, and then we're going to pour all of this custard right on top of our bread. And you want that bread that's my sop up all of that custard, okay? You really do. And you could even let it soak up this custard overnight if you wanted to. By all means, you can. All right, so let's get this bread in. Once the bread goes in, the custard goes into this pan just like so, quick and simple. Let's talk about our raisins. If you don't want to use raisins, it's fine. Okay, now if you wanted to use a dried cranberry, you can do that as well. Years ago, I used to feel like you needed to soak the raisins to make them nice and plumpy for this recipe. You can do that if you want to. And if you want to do that, you're going to soak them in some warm water for about 1/2 hour. But really, you don't have to. That's what I've learned. Use as much or as least of the raisins as you would like to use. I'm not going to put too many in here because my husband do not like raisins. Nope, he doesn't. He picks them out, but I like raisins. So just that little bit will do. And then right before it's done, I put a couple of raisins on the top just to make it pleasingly aesthetic to the eye, right? So now let's put all this lovely sauce in right over top of our bread, making sure that we coat all of the bread just like so, quick and simple. Once your bread has soaken up all of the custard, and you will know when it's all soaking up, okay? Because you ain't gonna see no liquid down here in the bottom of your pan. We're gonna go ahead and lightly cover it. Don't do it too tight because your bread will stick. to the foil. Kind of puff the foil up like I just did the middle, and then just do the sides a little bit tight. Into the oven, 350 degrees. At some point of the cooking process, we will be taking the foil off so those little edges can get nice and crispy and the top can get nice and beautiful and golden brown. But 90% of the cooking process, you need foil on it so your bread doesn't dry out. But now what we're gonna do, I'm gonna show you how easy it is to make this vanilla sauce. That is the boss. And listen to me, if you wanna put like some bourbon or some type of alcohol in here, by all means you can. A lot of people do. They'll put like a rum in here, but I don't. I just love the vanilla flavor. Here's the thing that you're gonna need to do. We're gonna be using the egg yolk. Okay, we're not going to be using the white part. So with the white part, you can always save it and then tomorrow morning use it for a nice omelet, the white part. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to turn around and I want to crack the egg right into my hand. Okay, and I want to loosen up my fingers in such a manner to where all of the white slides right through my fingers, and then I'm left with this lovely yolk. Okay, and take that little white piece off as well, and this is all we're gonna need, just the yolk. If you have the white part left, it's not gonna, your sauce is not gonna turn out right. Let's go ahead and mix our egg yolks with 1 cup of granulated sugar, and really in the beginning when you begin to mix the 2 ingredients, it's going to be really thick and you're going to think you messed it up, but you didn't, so don't worry. 1 cup going right in, okay? And then we're going to whisk it, okay? It will go through a whole process where it looks like this. It'll be super thick, okay? And then it'll thin out. It'll turn a light, pale, beautiful yellow color, and it'll get nice and smooth, and that's what we're looking for. So you just keep stirring until you get the perfect consistency that we're looking for. And I'll make sure the camera shows you really good what consistency you're looking for, not this, right? So keep stirring. It will liquefy, believe it or not. That sugar will liquefy every time. Look at this. This is what you're wanting. Nice, fluffy. It will turn that light yellow color. The sugar will become nice and silent. Remember in the beginning, when we first began to stir this, you could really hear the sugar. This is what you're looking for. And now we're gonna start our sauce. We're gonna turn around and take 1 cup of our milk and we're gonna heat it up. We're gonna bring it to a slight boil, not a roiling boil, just a slight boil where you see little tiny bubbles. When you see little tiny bubbles, I'm gonna come back and show you what you need to do. This sauce comes together so quickly. Now what we need to do is temper our eggs. And for those of you that are not sure what that means is, we need to bring our eggs up to the temperature of the milk, because otherwise you cannot combine the two without turning these eggs into scrambled eggs. So how would you do that? Well, we're going to take a little tiny bit of this milk that has just begun to come to a slight boil. We're going to pour half of it into here and we're going to stir it vigorously, okay? Remember, it's not super duper hot. Half of it, and we're going to stir it. Once we stir it, now that it's came up to the temperature of the milk that's in the pan, we can put this into the hot pan without this turning into scrambled eggs. How interesting, right? Super interesting. That's what I call science, right? Oh yeah, look at this. Beautiful. Let's get it in. Get all that lovely goodness out. I'm going to use my, you see I'm kind of moving fast because you really have to, okay? There we go. Give it a nice stir. We're going to let it come up to a boil, and it may become frothy and bubbly and kind of white. Don't worry about that. Just don't yank it up on high, okay? So right now the temperature is just a little bit above low. We're going to put our vanilla in there. Vanilla extract as much as you would like. You could even use a fresh vanilla bean if you would like, okay? Once this comes up to a nice boil, we're going to add in 1 cup of our heavy cream, and there is your sauce. What the sauce should be looking like, because I know the sides of the pan is up pretty high, so if you can zoom down in there so they can see it. Can they see it very well? That's what it's supposed to look like, nice and smooth. You should never see lumps. But in case you were to get any lumps, you're going to use one of these sifters here, and you can pour this sauce through the sifter, and any lumps that's in it will get caught in here, and you have a nice smooth sauce, okay? We'll let this boil for about 5 minutes, and then we'll introduce our heavy cream and our vanilla extract. My sauce has came up to a slight boil. I can stop stirring it for a couple minutes, and then we can add in our cup of heavy cream. Lovely. It will be frothy. And if that little bit of frothiness bothers you, you can just skim it off using a spoon and just discard of it. I don't worry about it, because if I'm going to use that sifter, whatever's frothy in here, it'll leave. You know, you'll get rid of it. All right. You can use any kind of vanilla extract you want. That's a lot. I want a lot of vanilla flavor. Oh, I wish you could smell it. I always like to tell people how you can tell if your sauce is done or thick enough. Okay, so we're looking for a technique that's called nappe. What happens is we're going to take a spoon, okay? We're going to put it in the sauce. We're going to take our finger and do like this. And if the sauce stays separate and you have a clear line here, your sauce is thick enough. And what will happen is as it cools down, it gets even thicker like we want it. So let's do that again, okay? Because somebody in the background didn't get to see it. I know you guys. Look at that. It stayed separate. Our sauce is thick enough. So I have my doohickey here in a bowl. We're going to pour this in, and if any lumps are in this sauce, it'll remain in here. We're going to have a nice, beautiful vanilla sauce, Gina Young. Let's put our sauce right down in here, okay? This recipe to me is so much fun to make. It's relaxing to make. Oh my goodness, look at this. And the bread pudding is perfuming the whole house. Like, I mean, if you come to the front door right now, you'll be able to smell it through the screen. Smells so good. All right. Give it a nice shake. Anything that shouldn't be or is too thick, it'll get strained right into here. Lovely. Look at this sauce. Neck is up. Oil off, and you can see that it looks really swollen. It'll look like that. It's been cooking on 350 degrees for an hour. Okay, and so what we're going to do, we're going to cook it for another half an hour, but this time without the foil, so we can get that golden brown color that we're looking for. It smells so good in here. One thing that's super important about this recipe is you let it set before you slice it. You don't want to slice it right away. A lot of people like to ask me, how will you know when it's done? Well, let me show you something. You're going to take a spatula, and on the side, if you can come in, and on the side, if it looks like this on the side, kind of bounces back right in place, that is done. Let it cool down, and when I come back, we're going to drizzle that vanilla sauce on it. You're going to get that first bite. Look at this. Come here. I want y'all to see the inside of what your bread pudding is supposed to look like in the inside once you cut it. Never mushy. Just like so. Listen to me. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. If you ain't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Tell your family and friends. Tell the world what Gina Young's doing in this kitchen on today. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this dessert. We thank you for your hedge of protection. No weapons formed against us shall prosper. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. And once again, to my beautiful prayer, look at that. Lovely. And now we're going to take our sauce and put it right on. Oh, Gina, are you kidding me? I'm not kidding. It's going to be by far one of the best bread puddings you have ever tasted. Make you some? We got to taste. Those of you that wanted to taste, come on in. Zoom in. We're going to taste right now, and the bread pudding is still warm. I'm going in. Shame on me. This is so good. Make you some. I promise you'll love the recipe.